Hello, friends. Well, it's time for us to start our look at Season 2 of Blake 7. We open on the Liberator sailing through space, just to confirm that Orak's prediction hasn't happened yet. Blake seems to have been rewatching the video of the prediction over and over again, trying to spot some sort of clue of how to prevent it. However, Avon already beat him to the punch. The human mind is capable of seeing into the near future with reasonable accuracy. For example, imagine that you're standing on the edge of a cliff, as long as you're not behind me. Avon points out there are a number of possibilities once you're at the cliff edge, but if you never go to the cliff, then there's no chance that any of those predictions could ever come true. So as long as they know where the event is supposed to take place, they can avoid it, and then they will never actually fulfill Orak's prediction. And Avon took the liberty of locating a unique cluster of stars in the background of the footage taken, and made a reference of it. The only place where that unique cluster of stars appear are almost halfway across the galaxy. So, barring them ever going there, they should probably be fine. However, at that point, somebody starts shooting at the Liberator. Everybody returns to their duty stations, only to discover it's only two vehicles that seem to be attacking them, neither of which appear to be Federation pursuit ships. And once they get a little bit closer, yeah, those look a little bit like the Liberator's components. The Liberator attempts to try and outrun them, however they're easily able to match pace with the Liberator. They don't seem interested in talking, and each shot seems to be crippling more and more of their ship's functions. First taking out their ability to use the force wall, then the blasters, soon their vision and ability to even slow down. And then they just break off their attack, sending the Liberator careening through space with no ability to slow down or even see where they're going. Fortunately, the crew are unscathed by the incident. Unfortunately, Zen seems to be offline and the automatic repair systems aren't kicking in to fix any of the damage, so they have no way to control where they're going or even see where they're headed. So their only hope is to make the repairs themselves. Avon, concentrate on Zen. Give priority to the detectors and navigation systems, and then see if you can get us some scans. Is that all? What shall I do with the other hand? I'll let you know. Well now, that gives new meaning to the ambiguously gay duo, doesn't it? Though part of the reason Avon might be cranky is the fact that the only reason that they're still alive is because those ships broke off their attack, which leaves the mystery of why they didn't just kill them all there and then. And as we learned in Mission to Destiny, Avon hates mysteries. Over at the International Space Station, as designed by H.R. Giger, we end up discovering the Saran Wrap people. I guess clear plastic is the height of culture for these people. But we do find out that these were the creatures that launched the attack on the Liberator, deliberately damaging it, and now they're sending over a crew to take possession of it. Back over on the Liberator, Blake tries to shut down the engine so that it doesn't drain all of their remaining power. However, they keep resetting themselves, and when Blake continues to try and work on it manually, the ship ends up attacking him with one of the power cables, almost as if it's alive. An impression not helped by the teleporter controls going absolutely ballistic, and the new circuit board that Avon put in deliberately malfunctioning, preventing them from gaining control over Zen again. It's become clear to Avon that the ship is willfully trying to prevent them from regaining control over it. Meanwhile, Blake makes a desperate plea for help. Annoyed, Avon goes to try and help. You know, I should be surprised you're playing with a phallic symbol in here, but I'm really not. Avon ends up having to plant some explosives to try and deactivate the power to the room, allowing Blake and him to escape. Since, as we established previously, the ship's automatic repair functions won't kick in until after the explosive already detonated. Unfortunately, Avon gets sealed in the room with the explosive. Blake's able to rescue him just in time. That's one that I owe you. I guess that makes it twice now that Avon has saved Blake's life. Reconvening on the flight deck, Avon supposes that the ship has been hacked and is now treating the crew of the Liberator as an infectious virus, trying to prevent them from regaining control over the ship. When asked who could possibly have successfully managed to hack the Liberator, Avon supposes it must have been the people who built it, finally come to reclaim the Liberator. That theory seems all but confirmed when Gan is attacked in the teleporter room and seems to be either killed or captured by boarders, who are able to utilize the teleporter technology the same as the crew of the Liberator. In an attempt to find Gan, both Callie and Villa are either killed or captured. It's not entirely clear. It doesn't help that the Liberator seems to be enacting safety protocols, making all of the blasters now so hot that they can't be removed from their sockets. A feature that was alluded to in the third episode once they started exploring the ship more. Realizing they're running out of options, Blake decides to try and use Orac, who is not connected to Zen systems, so hasn't been affected by whatever override's taking control of Zen, to try and remove the ability for anyone externally to control Zen again, so that they can hopefully regain control of the Liberator. Their timing being impeccable, since now the bridge has been stormed by the boarding party who seize control over the Liberator and proceed to take it back to wherever they came from originally. Blake, in typical Paladin fashion, seems to think that these entities can be reasoned with. Unfortunately, they do not take well to his demands that they be treated as prisoners, with all of the respect involved in that, and use some weird variation on the blaster to, I guess, directly affect his nerves, causing him a great deal of pain. Having returned to the giant space station where they're originally from, the Liberator is brought into a docking bay, giving you some idea of just how big this space station has to be if it's able to accommodate the Liberator in its docking bay. Blake, Avon, and Jenna are escorted off of the ship for interrogation. So as they are led around the space station, it becomes clear that yeah, this is totally an Orwellian nightmare. Cold, sterile, and utterly devoted to whatever mysterious purpose this space station has. Blake gets taken off to be interrogated, while Jenna and Avon are confined to a cell. While being led off to be interrogated, Blake discovers that there are other people here on the space station who are being used as slave labor. Blake ends up rushing in to save one of the slaves from being terminated for falling behind in his work duties, which does not net him any sort of punishment, but I have an interesting theory about that I want to save for later. Blake is eventually delivered before the human interface for the System, and demands to know exactly what that means.
The System is the supreme power of Spaceworld, and the 3 life-supporting planets that orbit our sun. The System is a complex of infallible machines.
Blake demands to know if any of the other crew are still alive, but is promptly reminded that he is not actually in charge of the situation. Blake is then interrogated about any information he has involving Deep Space Vehicle Number 2, aka the Liberator.
Please state any other information you have regarding DSV-2.
We assumed it had been involved in a space battle.
State any additional information you have regarding Error 404.
But yeah, it appears that the infallible network of computers are having some minor technical hiccups. It would seem that Orac took his instructions to sever the ability for someone else to control Zen a little bit more liberally than Blake meant. Meanwhile, while pacing, Avon finally looks out of the window and realizes that this is in fact the space coordinates that was revealed in Orac's prediction about the Liberator exploding, which doesn't imply good things will happen if they are able to escape and regain control of the Liberator somehow. And things don't seem to be much better when the 2 biological interfaces for the System, who are communicating verbally with each other even though they're implied to basically be the human avatars of the machine, so shouldn't they have basic Bluetooth connections with each other? But whatever. Revealed that because of the cascading failures on board, they're going to have to terminate all of the prisoners, including Blake and the rest of his friends. Fortunately, as Blake is being led to be executed, he uses the power of his puffy sleeves to escape. A nearly short-lived escape as he finds a dead end, only to be rescued by that slave he helped earlier. Blake finally gets some answers as to exactly what is going on. So, about 2 generations ago, there were 3 planets in the solar system that were constantly waging war with each other. However, eventually one of them built a computer so sophisticated it took over the computers of the other 2 planets, effectively ending the war, but apparently leading to the other computers now becoming sentient and deciding to enslave the human race for its own good. I, for one, welcome our new computer overlords. Hail 10001101. Meanwhile, Avon and Jenna are attempting to make an escape when one of the guards comes to pick them up, only for it to turn out it's actually Villa, Callie, and Gan come to rescue them. As they attempt to escape the station, it seems the guards are armed with nightsticks and frickin' explosives! Apparently nobody told them that projectile weapons were a good idea. Reuniting with Blake and his new slave buddy, they're able to get back aboard the Liberator, but it seems the guards have remembered they do have projectile weapons, and the ongoing curse of helping Blake leading to your death strikes again. Back on the flight deck, it seems that Orac was successful and Zen is back on their side. But the bad guys haven't given up yet, deciding to try and teleport aboard the Liberator. Unfortunately, they know how to work the teleporters, and these guards are pretty stupid, accidentally grenading their own central command system. Yeah, that's not going to lead to major problems. They're able to escape the now self-destructing space station. Unfortunately, there is another spaceship just like the Liberator, the Deep Space Vehicle Mark I, and it looks like they've got the Liberator dead to rights. Only for the Deep Space Vehicle Mark I to explode. What?
I took the precaution of scrambling their missile systems, pre-detonating their rockets. Had I not done so, my prediction would have been inaccurate.
Orac, one of these days, I'm going to punch you, repeatedly, in the circuit board, for that little bit of Deus Ex Machina. And with Blake setting course for Earth Sector so they can go fight the Federation again, we end the episode. So, yeah, the bit about them blowing up a spaceship that just happens to look exactly like the Liberator as an excuse for why we didn't actually end up blowing up the Liberator is kinda clever, I gotta say. I would not be surprised if Terry Nation wrote the ending to the story without having actually come up with an explanation for how he wasn't gonna blow up the Liberator, so this was a pretty clever solution to that little dilemma. Also, a clever thing that I'm not sure was wholly intentional is, I think the reason that Blake wasn't punished for helping the slave, he brought a quote-unquote malfunctioning component back into working order, which in the mind of a machine is really all that is necessary. Either the slave is fulfilling his task, or he is not. Either it is allowed to continue functioning, or it is terminated. Like I said, I really hope that was intentional to show how cold and logical this system really is. I do like us finally getting an answer to who it is that exactly built the Liberator, and I enjoy the weird alien society, even if they're nominally supposed to be just humans that settled this far out into space and somehow got really, really sophisticated. I definitely think it's unfortunate that Blake never did many two-parters, because this really could have done with another episode just devoted to the space station and the alien race that built the Liberator. The setup for how we got to this point in the episode was pretty good and creative, but I gotta say, the living power cable that threatens Blake and Avon is kind of a stupid effect and seems to come out of completely nowhere. I would not be surprised if Terry Nation wrote something that was a little bit more interesting and creative, but unfortunately wasn't able to make good on the special effect on the day of shooting. Not an amazing start to the season, but all in all, perfectly serviceable. I can, however, say the next episode is absolutely flawless. Well, Gozer the Gozerian makes a special guest appearance, we get psychic cactuses, and we find out what space drugs look like. I hope to see you for our next episode, Shadow. See you next time. Hey friends, I hope you're enjoying the Blake 7 reviews, and if you are, then I encourage you to go show your support over at the official Blake 7 YouTube channel. And in speaking of support, I do all of these reviews as well as my fan films and my costume tutorials for free. So if you want to give me a little bit of cash to show your support and appreciation, I have links to my Patreon page below, as well as any other requisite links you may need. Until next time, have fun!